In today's world, gambling has been packaged as fun, fast, and full of promise. It's in our apps, our adverts, and our everyday conversation. But behind the flashing lights and jackpot dreams lies a growing struggle that affects individuals, families, and communities in silence. Many people don't even realize they have a problem until it's too late. Debts pile up, relationships break down, and mental health takes a hit. So today, we are opening up the conversation. What does gambling addiction really look like? How do we recognize it, and how do we talk about it? And most importantly, how do we heal from it? Remember, this show is proudly brought to you by Miss Ashan and Younib organization, and we're trying to reach out to the community to teach you on matters mental health. So if you need any psychological help, you can always call the number 0700 352 250, and our very own psychologist will be able to help you out. Remember, if you want to interact with us, suggest conversations that you want to hear from us, you can always do so through our social media platform, Younib_TV on Instagram, Younib Media TV on Facebook, and there's a number on your screen. You can SMS or WhatsApp 0719 144 144. Yeah. Allow me to introduce to you the guests of the day. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you feeling this morning? How's the Valentine?
Today, I know the weather is a bit cold, but I feel very warm and I feel very excited to begin this conversation. And I like the fact that you have put it out well on the introduction, that a lot of people may be struggling with gambling and yet they really don't understand what's happening. So I believe this show will shed a lot of insight so that if they are in that situation, they can be able to find the help.
Okay, to my right, how is your morning?
It's quite okay. It is a bit chilly, just as Vala said, but thankfully we are indoors, we are warm, and so I'm hoping so is our audience over there. Tuko hapa pamoja.
Yeah. So before we even get to the conversation, as Valentine has already stated, we are talking about gambling addiction, yeah? So before we get there are people who don't know who you are. Wanasikia tu Val, wanasikia tu my right side. So I'd like you guys to just take this opportunity and introduce yourselves. Tell us what you do here, yeah? Tuanze kwako.
Okay. My name is Mutembei Muthami. I'm a psychologist by profession, an associate with Psychosocial Support Center, that's PSC in short. And we are here gracing your screens to talk about mental health in partnership with the Younib organization, courtesy of Younib TV. Yeah. And if kama umetuzoea, unajua ukituona tunaangalia mambo serious. If not, I'm really hoping that today is going to be a very monumental conversation for you.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you for giving me this opportunity. And my name is Valentine Ndiwa. I am working with the Younib organization as a psychological counselor or a psychologist. We are working with Mutembei just to bring issues concerning your mental health to your screens. We are talking about, we've had different conversations on different aspects of mental wellness, and if you're struggling in a particular area, how you'll be able to address some of those issues. So we are reaching out to the community. Currently, we are working with community members at Njiru area. We are reaching out to schools to ensure that everyone is mentally okay, because if they are okay in their mind, it means every aspect of their life will go on well. Yeah.
Okay, and karibuni sana. It's always a pleasure having you guys here, yeah? So today's conversation, and repeat it again, is gambling addiction. And we can't just start talking about gambling addiction without knowing what really gambling addiction is all about. So please explain to us, what is gambling addiction?
So gambling addiction in a nutshell is a behavioral addiction where a person or an individual cannot control their urge to stop gambling, even when it has serious repercussions for their health, their finances, and their social patterns. Just to paint a small picture, unakumbuka when you were kids, you used to go na shilingi zako, you go to a shopkeeper, then they give you a tablet or a thing, and then unachagua number, hiyo number umechagua ndio anakutolea balloon. So haukunaenda kununua balloon, but it used to be fun because of that thrill of leo nataka ile kubwa, so tena nichukue hii pesa yako ikiisha you're able to go home. Well, now that can be termed as recreational gambling, where it's just for fun, it's just an experience to make you feel good. But then now if it gets to a point where yes, pesa yako imeisha, unajua ukitumia pesa zaidi ya hapo itakuwa balaa, but you still do it because you can't control that urge. So once you find yourself that unacheza aviator too much, you're in the casino too much, unaenda hadi unapeleka title deed, you go above and beyond just so that you can keep up that the act of gambling. That's when now you know there's a problem there.
Okay, interesting. Now we've gotten to understand gambling, and Mutembei has told us there's the recreational side, and now there's the gambling itself. So what does gambling do to the brain, Valentine?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. But before I answer it, maybe our viewer may not understand what it means to gamble. Maybe I think Mutembei could have started from that so that the viewer could understand what it means to gamble. To gamble, it means that you are giving something that is valuable to you to another person so that you can get more things in return. So that is basically the meaning of gambling. And that's why the way he's given that example of money. Money is of value to you. And why are you giving that money? Because for that little boy or girl, they see a balloon is something more valuable to them. So they give that, they give that money. And since they want to have more balloons, so if I'm giving 1 shilling and 1 shilling is giving me 1 balloon and I have that, I love balloons, I might find giving more because of the value that is attributed to that particular balloon. So you are giving something that you value so that you can have more things. So your question has been on gambling, how it affects your mind. So just like any other forms of activity, or just like any other forms of addiction, I'll put an example of a drug addiction. In addiction, there are different forms, and gambling falls under a class of non-chemical or non-substance addiction, while there is the substance, which includes the drugs, the different types of drugs, and even the alcohol, heroin, and all other drugs. But then now, when it comes to behavioral addiction, gambling is one of them. And Mutembei as well put it that somebody is unable to control that behavior. You have no control over that behavior of putting what you value to have something more. So because it's a rewarding activity, so when you gamble, you feel that excitement and that pleasure. And this pleasure usually mostly comes because in your mind, you said you're going to get more. And of course, who doesn't want more? All of us want to have more things. So because having more gives us that pleasure, we find that we are more interested into the gambling behavior. So because of the fact that it is a rewarding, it is a rewarding activity, and this will play along with the chemical that is responsible for giving us pleasure, which is the dopamine chemical in our brain. So because when we do that and we're feeling happy and rewarded, that chemical is more stimulated in our brain and we want to experience that. That's why we want to keep on engaging in gambling. And from that is where you find that somebody has become addicted.
Okay, when you talk about addiction, Mutembei, do you think that there are people who are more prone to getting gambling addiction?
Yes, definitely. You see, the case with gambling, it's a feel-good activity that that escalates into an addiction because you're trying to make yourself feel good about something. Just as Val has well explained, there's some activities that we do that make us feel good, like running or jogging or anything. But then you find that those require a lot of effort.
Yeah.
Somebody who works in a corporate job that is very high stress, you'll find that they can't just get out of the office and go take a run or take a jog. So you'll find that they'll look for very small, minute distractions to just get them out of their headspace. So such people, it could be doctors, bankers, people with people who are high achieving. They'll want a quick fix, and that because of that puts them at a higher risk of developing a gambling addiction, because they could just gamble on their phone. Same case as the complete opposite, same case as people who don't have anything to do. If you're not working, that means that you want to generate some money. So kama uko na 100 yako, unajua ai 100 nikicheza vieta naweza pata 200. So you find that maybe the first time you do it, you actually get 250. So you're like, this is a money making income. So now you don't view it as recreational, you view it as work. So now you're doing it as work, and then before you know it, you're addicted, because you can't, that is all that you know, that is what makes you feel good, that is what brings in the money and all that. So yes, so that we don't stretch too much, there's certain people who are very prone or vulnerable to developing a gambling addiction. That's the people in high stress jobs, people who most of the time they're idle, people who have maybe undergone post-traumatic disorder, or people who have undergone a traumatic event, and maybe they have not been able to deal with it, and they just want to make a distraction. They want to feel good, so they get into gambling. People with drug addiction, because now they go out, they indulge in their drugs, and then because they want more money, they decide, hii yenye nimebaki, let me gamble it so that I have more money to sustain my lifestyle. So there are a couple of situations that could make people more susceptible to the gambling addiction, and maybe we'll get into that.
Okay, so I hope we're getting to learn more about gambling addiction, and we're getting to also understand what gambling addiction is all about. Yeah. Before we take this break, I'd like to ask the question of the day, and the question of the day today is: do you think gambling is normalized in today's society, and if so, how? The question is: do you think gambling is normalized in today's society, and if so, how? Please let us know through our social media platforms, Younib_TV on Instagram, Younib Media TV on Facebook, and there's a number on your screen. You can SMS or WhatsApp 0719 144 144. Let's take this short break, and we'll be back with more. Welcome back. This is still the Younib Breakfast Show with me, Peninah, Wachera, and my lovely guest here. And today we are having a conversation on gambling addiction. Remember, this show is proudly brought to you by Miss You Ashan and Younib Organization, and we are trying to reach out to the community to teach you on matters mental health. So if you need any psychological help, you can always call the number 0700 352 250 and our very own therapist to be able to help you out. Yeah. Before the break, I had asked you guys a question, and the question of the day is, do you think gambling is normalized in today's society, and if so, how? And I'll just quickly sample your feedback. Someone says yes, especially with how sports betting is promoted everywhere, even during matches. It's like they're selling dreams to the youths. Someone else says totally normalized. Every other app or billboard is putting a jackpot or bonus spin. It's hard to avoid. Someone says it's scary how normal it's becoming, because people talk about betting like it's just a hobby, but no one talks about the losses. Someone says yes, influencers and celebrities promote it like it's just fun and harmless, but they never show the damage it causes. Someone says absolutely. Every students are betting with lunch money. It's becoming part of our daily culture without us realizing the danger. And I'll just sample one last one. Yes, especially online, it's accessible 24/7, and the digital platforms make it feel less real, but the losses are very real. Yeah, there's more that I could sample, but because of time, allow me to stop there. Yeah, so to you, our therapist, what will you say when it comes to how betting or gambling specifically has been normalized in our society today?
Well, I'll take us all the way back to charity sweepstake. So gambling is not something that started at the juicy. It's something that has always been there, because we used to see the lotto games, the charity sweepstake promotions, the stalls in towns, and it's always been there. But now recently you will find that it's not just promoted, now it's glamorized, because now you see very beautiful models on billboards showcasing betting machines. You know, you will find ads on TV, ads on the radio, ads in newspapers. With time, once you are exposed to these billboards, you're exposed to the advertisements, stories from your peers, success stories from people who have won and tell you that they cashed in and bought land, they won a car. It becomes a very inakuwa mtindo, so unapata a lot of people are going to get into the gambling because, I've seen it, it works. Yeah. But the real thing is that out of so many people who gamble, it's only like 2 or 3 who actually win. So we never really get the bigger picture.
Yeah, okay. Valentine, do you think gambling has been normalized in our society?
Well, I think my perspective, and even looking at different media stations these days, if you open the TV, most of the time you'll find that they are always advertising about gambling, and they are always glamorizing and making you see that you're going to get more money. Yet in the real sense, maybe they are not even people who are getting that money at the end of the day. It's that which you have contributed to that TV station that is the money that is there. So in today's society, it's very difficult. If you're not gambling, I think maybe kudos to you, but majority of us out here are really deep into gambling, because first of all, there was no information about the gambling, how you should go about it. And even just like you said, children are even betting on their lunch money. Yeah. It has even gotten to that worse extent, because now you're not eating so that you can bet, and that would really have adverse effect on your health. Your body needs that food for it to function properly. So that comment, even by the viewer, shows the extent that we are in. It means that we are doing badly off as a country, and I think as a country, as a society, and I think it would be really, really important that as we are going on with the discussion, like the role that the media has to play and what the community is playing in terms of ensuring that people are not getting addicted into gambling, especially the young children. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I want to ask this question. how can someone really differentiate? Because we've been told there's the pleasure side of gambling, like the one that it is not really deep inside. Yeah. So I just want to know, how can I differentiate that this one now has become a serious betting or gambling issue?
I feel like I would start with preoccupation. This what I mean by this is that tunasemanga out of sight, out of mind, right? So for somebody who gambles recreationally, you'll find that they don't always think about it. It's not going it's most probably it's usually like a fleeting moment. They're like, oh, by the way, I haven't played that game in a while. It's been a minute since I was in a casino. You know, for them it's an experience. As opposed to somebody who's now has a gambling addiction where they're always thinking of, okay, they wake up in the morning, they're like, okay, how much money do we have today? How much are we going to place the bet on? What are we going to place the bet on? You know, then it trickles down to their behaviors throughout the day. You know, they are constantly checking their phones, they are constantly checking their website to see whether or not they have won or they've made a loss. They are always rushing to the washroom, or they're always looking for an excuse to leave their workplace so that they can go either place a bet or they can go check on their bets. You know, it becomes a lifestyle for them, to the point where now the gambling is part of their identity, part of their routine, part of their structure in a day. And then that's when now we start to realize hapa tumejieka kwa mtego.
Okay, now that we've gotten to understand the specifically how we can know it's dangerous. So, Valentine, please explain to us the warning signs that now I can be able to check and say, guy, hapa ni kama I am going on a rough road when it comes to gambling addiction.
Okay, I think Mutembei has given us some of the ways to know that in your mind, it's conscious and even unconscious that most of the time, more often than not, you have to be in that state where you just want to gamble. The other thing, even if that gambling causes you harm or makes you even not, there are those people who don't even go for lunch or they don't take care of themselves because now you have the money, you cannot buy yourself a pair of shoes or maybe a sweater during this time that it's very, very cold, but you'd prefer that you use that money to gamble than to take care of yourself. Even the issues to do with if it's a parent, other than taking care of the children, ensuring that their school fees are paid, their rent money, and even the food, the shelter, the clothing, and all those things is well taken care of. A person who is addicted to gambling may not have that mind that I need to take care of my family. The other thing is that you always have to lie of the place that you are in. Maybe just like Mutembei said, umesema wacha niende hivi. Kumbe hiyo kwenda yako hivi is because you want to go and bet and you don't want people to know where you are at that specific moment. And then the other thing is that if you make losses, you want to have more. You'd even go to the extent of borrowing. You'll even go to the extent of committing crime, things like fraud or even theft, so that you can gamble. So when you reach that level, that is when you will start to know that something is wrong with me. Yeah.
When we're talking about how we have normalized gambling in our society today, Valentine mentioned about the role of media. We have the social media, we have the TVs, we also have online apps when it comes to betting. Yeah, I'd like to know, what are the roles of these specific apps? What are the roles of these people, even the media stations, in when it comes to contributing to gambling? But before we get that answer, I want us to take a short break, and we'll be back with more concerning this conversation and more on the roles that media stations or even the media specifically plays when it comes to gambling addiction. is still the Younib Breakfast Show with me, Peninah, Wachera, and of course my lovely therapists here who are here to help us understand gambling addiction. Yeah, remember you can always interact with us through our social media platforms, Younib_TV on Instagram, Younib Media TV on Facebook, and there's a number on your screen. You can SMS or WhatsApp 0719-144-144. Remember that this show is proudly brought to you by Miss Ashan and Younib Organization, and we're trying to reach out to the community to teach you on matters mental health. So if you need any psychological help, you can always call the number 0700-352-250. And again, our very own therapist, who you can see here, will be able to help you out. Yeah. So before the break, I had asked Mutembei a question on the role of media when it comes to gambling addiction. Please take us there.
Okay, so the media is like a double-edged sword. So it can do good, it can do bad. The good thing is that we are here, we are spreading awareness on gambling addiction. The negative side is that the media is glorifying the gambling. So you'll find that the role of the media is to make the gambling accessible. I have never walked into a casino, but if I wanted that casino experience, I just have to pick up my phone and play a slot machine game. So what the media is doing is bringing the casinos, it's bringing the betting experiences right to your pocket. Not even in your house, in your pocket. Everywhere you go, you have access to gambling. What also this does is that because it's so accessible, everybody is doing it. So now it becomes like, okay, why are you not betting? Why don't you have an account? You don't have a betting account. How do you grow your money? And then now the media, because the betting says they want people to start betting, they start putting out advertisements. You're just scrolling on your phone, a gambling advertisement pops up. So you find that it's very glamorized. Just as I had mentioned, the media understands that people don't want to see ordinary people in advertisements. So we look for people in suits, people who look like they have their stuff well put together, beautiful models. And you see, once you see a pile of cash next to a very beautiful model, you'll be like, if I bet, I'll get the money and I'm going to be as beautiful as that model. So unconsciously, it motivates you to start betting. So in as much as, yes, the media is there, we are trying to raise awareness, there's also the dark side of the media that is promoting what we are trying to fight against.
Okay, interesting. I've heard you say that many people think that gambling is a way of like making more money. In hindsight, the truth is gambling is not even a form of investment. Okay, so many people always associate gambling with investment, but that's not the truth. Gambling is not a form of investment, and that's where people go wrong. And that's why you'll see, as Mutembei said, like when you put your money somewhere, like if you see a model with money, your mind will just say, I will make money. But in truth, gambling is just like a game, yeah, but it's not a form of investment. So I think we need to change our narrative, mostly when we come to talking about our money habits. Yeah, it's very important for us to be really, really serious in what we take. Like we research more on what is an investment and what is not. Because most people now are seeing the flashing light of, if I get this money, I'll have quick, fast money, and now this will help me become better. And then you forget that this gambling will make you like, today you'll get, tomorrow you lack, the following day you lack, the other day you lack, and then now you get again by chance. So people don't remember that gambling is a chance game and it's not an investment. Yeah. So coming back to our conversation, Valentine, I'd like to know, because we've been speaking about gambling, we know that it has effects. If something is not good, definitely it has a negative effect on the society, on the families, on the individuals themselves. So I want us to go there. What is the effect of gambling addiction to families, to the community, to the individual themselves?
Okay, I think when it comes to the addiction, I would not say that it has a positive impact, but if somebody gambled once and they made millions and their families, maybe they were celebrating, they were like, if it was a recreational gambling like Mutembei has put it, maybe you try once and then you and then now you become a billionaire or a millionaire, and then it becomes a happy thing. But now when it gets to that extent whereby a person is is addicted into it, it really affects the individual because most of the people tend to go into this gambling as a means of taking care of or managing their stress, of which now when you gamble and you make losses, it's stress upon stress. Now it becomes chronic stress, which will even lead to depression. And just like Mutembei said, a person who is addicted to gambling, most of the time their mind is preoccupied on the matters that concern gambling. So you'll find that you'll not be at peaceful state, you as an individual. Most of the time you'll be an anxious person, a person who worries whether they are winning or not, and that brings a toll on your mental well-being. And that's why we are seeing that this person who is addicted to gambling, other than experiencing the gambling addiction in itself, they might even getting other mental health conditions such as depression, because you have made a bet and you have lost, so you become depressed. Another thing is that you might find them as a means of coping, because most of this gambling usually occur in casinos or in bars or mostly in casinos. And what do people do in casinos? See, there are drinks and certain drugs there. Yeah. So as that person, they might even end up getting addicted to other substances. The other thing is that it can make them have an anxiety disorder, because most of the time your mind is focused on betting. You want to keep on betting. So most of the time you're worried, you're anxious. So it will have that impact on you as an individual. The other thing, because you always have to lie to your family members where you are and what you're doing, and because this is something that you cannot hide from your family, you have lost money. Maybe you have engaged in a fraud or a criminal activity. The policemen are looking for you left, right, and center. So that affects the family negatively. And you find in the families, there is a lot of broken marriages or even the relationship, because somebody is addicted into gambling. Nobody wants to stay in a family where financially they are not stable, because neither the husband or the wife is addicted in gambling, because even there are ladies who are. Men are more prone, but it's a problem for both genders. In as much as men are more prone, even there are some ladies who are still addicted into gambling. So when you look at it at a society level, you're a person who is addicted into gambling, and just like other substances, it's a brain rewarding activity. So you want to keep on engaging in it, not noticing the toll that it is even it's even bringing to the community at large. Because now when you don't have the money, and somebody who is addicted is even forced to start stealing from people. So in that community, if maybe ulikuwa na kuku zako, ng'ombe zako, goats and everything, and then because this person wants to gamble, they come and steal your properties. So what happens to that particular society? You see poverty in that society. Cases of crime would increase in that particular society or even in that community. So gambling has a negative effect. And like nimesema, ulijaribu once ukamake yako, but it has a lot of negative consequences on the individual, on the family, and even on the whole society as a whole. Yeah.
As you conclude, Mutembei, I'd like to know how recovery looks when it comes to gambling addiction.
Okay, well, recovery, just like with any addiction, it starts with admitting that you have a problem and admitting that you need help. Sometimes talk therapy helps, because it could help you get to the root of the problem, why it started, what is keeping the habit going. But sometimes you'll find that just talking to somebody, if you're too much into it, let's say the gambling is fueled by a drug addiction or is fueled by another condition, we might need to put you in a wellness facility so that we can at least deal with everything, so that we don't just deal with something and really leave the rest to chance. So if it's too extreme, we might look for a holistic approach. Then that means hospitalization, in that you go to a wellness facility where we get to address everything. But if it's not too severe, maybe talk therapy and behavior modification can work.
Okay, so thank you so much for helping us understand about gambling addiction. I hope now we are more wiser than we were before, yeah? And now we know that gambling can affect us in different ways, and it doesn't even not only affects us as individuals, but also the people we live around with. Yeah. So asanteni sana for your time, for helping us again understand gambling addiction. And as always, it's always a pleasure having you guys here, and I'm always looking forward to having these conversations with you guys. So asanteni sana.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Okay, I'd like also to send my words of gratitude to everyone who has made this show a success. Thank you so much, Elias, for being our camera person and also our director. Asante sana for the good work you've been doing. And to you, our viewers, thank you so much for always supporting the Younib Breakfast Show, for always sending your feedback, for always giving us pointers, for always actually suggesting the conversations that you want us to do. Yeah, it's because of you that we get the opportunity to actually sit down and educate you every single time. So asanteni sana. And today, as we're going through the day, I'd like us to also go thinking about how much we've been making other people suffer when it comes to gambling. Why do we keep on wanting to gamble? Yeah. Until next time, do have yourselves a beautiful day ahead. Goodbye.